Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our first podcast. This is Beyond the Illusion of Mind. This is where we explore all things mind and understanding spirituality, yoga. And of course, I'm here with my husband, Linville Mirage.
Hi, nice to meet you, everyone, and happy to be here doing our first podcast.
Yeah, this is like a long time in the making, right?
Yeah, very long time.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time just discussing a lot of things, just trying to understand ourselves, of course, the questions we all ask, right? Why are we here? What can I do to improve my life, everything, and who am I? So I'm sure you have those questions too. So Linville has had a lot of experience in this topic, yoga, in spirituality, right? And in what is the mind, right?
I've had some investigations into it, some personal investigations into it, yeah. So I'm hoping we can have some spirited discussions and insights into what is the mind and what is yoga.
Exactly. Why did we choose this name? Beyond the Illusion of Mind. Like, why did we choose this name?
Because when you start to investigate exactly what the mind is, how it operates, how is it this world is constructed from a personal experience, what happens is that you realize that your experience is something made up. So it's in we never really see what is there. It's impossible for our eyes have limitations, our ears have limitations. We can't see the full color spectrum. We don't even see light. We just see reflections of light. So in that aspect, we only can interact with what is reflecting light. Right? And we can't really truly see what an item is, except for we can see what it is not, because what it reflects is only what it is not. Right? We don't really see it.
See, that's interesting that you said what it is not. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, because if you see something white, it's because it's reflecting all the colors. So it's truly not white. It's just not. It's rejecting all the white, so it's actually a very dark color in reality.
Okay.
So and the eyes are as such, because if we did see light, then the entire place would be dark for us in the daytime, because the entire air is filled with light.
Okay. So beyond the illusion, you wanted, and then beyond the illusion of mind.
Correct, because all of this perspective, all of this perception that we get from the five senses, it is the eyes don't see anything. This nose doesn't smell anything. When you take that information, take it as a computer. When the information goes through the camera doesn't process anything. It goes through the camera, it goes through the microphone, then it goes to the computer, it is processed, and then a graphics software inside constructs the data for you. So what happens with the human mind is that the data comes in, and the software, the brain processes the information, and that information is then constructed for us.
Okay.
And that construction is based on a lot of things that are not necessarily absolutely true, and that is why I'm calling it the illusion of the mind, because the mind can actually reconstruct these things without actual data. And so when you have persons who have mental disorders, they are seeing things, the things are there, they're hearing things, but the mind is constructing them in such a way that they can't tell the difference.
So we are going to dive in a lot of those, because you brought up a lot of stuff that we would be able to dissect as we go through the podcast and different consequence series coming up. But what was so important for you that you wanted to make this podcast?
To be honest, it's a topic that I enjoy talking about. I think sometimes persons may have questions, and it just takes a little bit of information for them to be able to see these things in a different perspective, and assist them in going into a direction that may change their lives forever, for a better. Yeah.
How long have you been studying and investigating all this? Would you say? I know. I mean,
No.
we've been together over 20 years.
Correct.
And I know we've been talking about that. And
Correct.
even before then, when I met you, I know you were doing that. So how long would you say? All your life?
Say all my life, yeah. And especially after at a younger age, at 11, I had some experience. From there, I have had a very strong interest in the mind, how we perceive things, how we think. So I was brought up in a type of cultural surroundings in which my experience of something is first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm speaking of something, I picture myself into it and have a direct experience of what is happening. So even when I speak of words, love, beauty, hate, whatever it is, I try to experience it from my experience. What is the world? So I don't take world, you look into the dictionary, see what the world is. You look in the dictionary, see what love is, it means nothing. So from a personal experience, what is love?
Okay.
If you look at the word, what is beauty? You look at the dictionary definition of what is beauty, and then you say, what is beauty from your experience? And if I can give you a quick story, because when I was 8-year-old, I grew up with my grandparents, so I went to my mother's family for the summer holidays, and when I went there, where I was, I say my grandparents, the upbringing was a little bit culturally, it was very different from the rest of the islands, which we grew up in Jamaica, and there were a lot of complimentary comments. I didn't really understand them at the time that they were compliments. I just thought they were weird, and I was a bit shy about them. They would comment on my eyelashes. They would comment on my nose.
You do have nice eyelashes. Just putting it out there.
They would comment on my eyebrow. To be honest, I didn't know the difference between eyelash and eyebrow at the time. I didn't know what they were. I didn't.
So you were 8 years old. You're going to this to see family, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, look at those eyes!"
And it was in a rural area. There were a lot of it was family, but there were always the neighbors here, and so we were interacting with a lot of kids, which I didn't have that much opportunity to interact with that many different kids at the time. Growing up, so they were like, so there were lots of things, because I'm mixed of Indian origin, and so I was a little bit different than the typical.
Okay, so they were looking at your hair, probably,
hair,
of course,
comment about my hair, these type of things, and so I was very shy about it. So the first 2 days, I was very withdrawn and everything. And by the end of the second day, I realized,
So you were nervous because they kept talking about it?
Because it was an attention on myself that I wasn't used to.
Okay.
So someone was like, "Oh, you have nice eyes," and I was like,
because your grandparents never really brought that up.
Nobody ever said anything about my eyes, my nose, my complexion, my ear, nothing.
But usually I know I normally go out of my way to make sure if I see, a little girl or, I always try to compliment them, so they feel special.
I'm going to get to that.
Oh, okay. So, no, maybe they were trying to make you feel special.
I understand. but from my experience, I've never had that experience.
Okay.
So what happened is that by the end of the second day, I realized these were compliments. They were actually trying to be nice to me. They were actually saying I was attractive. I really didn't look at myself in the mirror. So I didn't really have an image, even though sometimes if I try to picture myself, I can't form a picture of myself. So I looked into the mirror and I was like, trying to figure. I asked them which one was the eyebrows. I was trying to look at the eyebrows, see what's different about the eyebrow, what's different about the eyelashes, my eyes, my nose, my ear, and I was looking at everything, and I realized it was a concept of beauty, and they were saying I looked attractive. So the moment I realized that they were saying this image is a concept of what attractiveness is, right? I felt a sense of superiority.
Really?
Yes, because they didn't have that. They didn't have the curly hair. They didn't have the long eyelashes. They didn't have the neat eyebrow. Their nose wasn't like mine. Their complexions were darker than mine, and they were saying my fairer complexion was something desirable as beauty. So relatively, I felt superior to them now, because I am more attractive. On the scale of attractiveness, I am there. So the moment I felt that, I also felt inferiority. Because going back home, when I go home to my grandparents' home, everyone would be fair skinned complexion than me. Everyone would be of a straighter hair than me. Everyone would have better looking eyelashes, nose, everything.
Wow.
So I would be definitely inferior in that moment, in the same moment of being superior. I was also
Then now you
inferior.
start comparing yourself to the people at your home.
Correct.
And saying I don't match up to them.
Correct. So I had to reject that. I had to reject it, because if I accepted that this concept was a concept of attractiveness, of beauty, then it means I would always be inferior to someone else.
And you discover this at 8?
Yes, at 8.
Okay.
But this is when you grow, as I said, the advantage of being grown to be, what do I say, nourished in an environment that doesn't give you a lot of relative comparisons and a lot of opinions about yourself, opinions about the world, opinions about everything. Let you form your own opinions from who you are. Because if someone is giving you information, then what is going to happen is that you're going to operate on the basis of what is being told to you, not from your true experience.
Okay. So from that early age of 8, you start looking a little bit more into why do I have those thoughts and that sort of thing.
Oh no, I was having these type of discussions like way before that particular
one was but
yes.
from earlier.
Yeah, from earlier.
Okay, so we're definitely going to dive into a lot. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. And yeah, we're definitely going to dive in some more to understand from your perspective and how as individuals we can probably do a little bit more introspection to see who understand ourselves and where we fit on certain scales and where some of those scales are not even necessary. We're putting those together.
Yes.
So
and just so you understand also is that I'm not saying my observation was in any way significant. I'm saying everyone does it.
Correct.
It's just that for most people it happens, these things happen at such a young age that they are conditioned into it.
Correct.
They accept it as a norm. And so once you've created this personality around these things, then you start making decisions based on them. And by you reach a certain age, these become, for your experience, an absolute reality when it is not.
So true. So true.
So that
So in our discussion here and Beyond the Illusion of Mind, again, we want it to be a safe space where people can feel free to ask certain questions and you're probably going to relate to some of these things that you hear. So, I would say, they say no, there's no stupid questions really. Yeah, just a question made without,
Yes.
full knowledge. But we're going to talk about yoga. We're going to talk about spirituality. We're going to talk about the mind. We're going to talk about illusion of the mind. Let's start off. Where do you want to start us off?
We could discuss and see what exactly is yoga.
Perfect.
Yes.
And I think now yoga is everywhere, right?
Not the one I'm talking about.
Well, a fragment of yes, and that's it, right?
Yes.
The idea, a lot of people think if I can make certain stands, or if I breathe, or I can go into child's pose or cat cow, wow, I'm doing yoga. But yoga is a little bit more than that, right?
Correct.
And how long have you been doing yoga?
So, based on my concept of yoga, I've been doing yoga all my life.
Okay. All right. So let's start on the left. So let's start off with
Without
what
knowing
is
it was
yoga?
So, what I would like to say is that what we would like to first achieve is that the words we use, they were all given to us at some point.
Mm-hmm.
We have not investigated them. We've not truly understood them. So we have accepted them as a type of belief system. So what we would like to do is list a few words, and then we try to investigate these words to see from a personal experience what these words could be. And yoga would be one of these. So my non-educated definition of what yoga would be is that it is an investigation into yourself. Into yourself. And this investigation is primarily to see what is the source of your experience of everything. So whatever it is that you're doing, we want to turn inside and investigate how is this light coming in, what is happening, an investigation into how the mind works, how the body functions, what's happening inside the body. And all of this is heading into one direction, the source that all of this experience is coming from.
Okay.
And the mind operates in such a way that wherever it gives attention to, it have a tendency to take on that quality. So the more you go inside, the more you experience the internal aspects of yourself, the mind starts to change its quality because it's giving attention to something else. If you're in an environment where, regardless of the social environment you're in, the mind takes on the characteristics of that environment. Because
Correct.
whatever it's, so once you start giving the attention to these things inside, the mind starts to change gradually, subtly. And at some point, so whatever you're giving yourself attention to inside, as the mind becomes one with that, then that is what yoga is. Yoga literally means to join, to form a union with something else.
Okay.
And you want to form a union with your highest state of consciousness.
Okay.
So it's overall an investigation. No one is telling you anything. Whatever you understand from yoga, you are supposed to be investigating. It's an investigation.
Okay.
It's like a scientific approach to your life, to your experience of life.
And I think a lot of people is why people may think of yoga to go into is more of lost control of what is around them and want to gain back control. Is that a way of looking and going to approach yoga? Because it's like it's so overwhelming with all the stimuli. Everything is so much. It's up. You're crushing, but then I look at yoga as a place to escape, to a place where I can quiet my thoughts, quiet my mind, and breathe. Is that a way of looking? It's to go to approach yoga, or what would you say to that?
Yeah, so I mean, quieting of the mind does happen, but as an escape, you see?
As a way to get away from the chaos.
So,
So I come in to so when I imagine what yoga is, so I guess I don't know if most people thought of it as that deep. But when I originally, when you were like, yeah, we need to do yoga, I'm like, okay, I definitely want to be more flexible. I thought of that, but I also see where, okay, now I have to try to quiet my mind. I have to quiet my thoughts. I have to breathe. I have to watch my breath. And it slows everything down. It's almost, all the things is melted away, and I'm here with myself and trying to control it, to control my mind, to control my thoughts. And so I look at yoga as that way to come to.
I think yoga is a little bit the direct opposite of that.
Really?
Yeah, so what happened, I was participating in a program, and we were supposed to be setting up things in a particular way. And so things were definitely not going according to the plan. So, and in that moment, it seemed very chaotic. And in that moment, in the chaos of everything was looking like, oh, how will we recover? And absolute pandemonium and chaos was happening in my perception of what was happening. And I applied some of the principles from the practices that we've been doing with Asia Institute. And the moment I applied those principles, I realized there was no chaos in front of me. The chaos was in my head. The chaos was my expectations of what should happen. There was no chaos in front of me. So yoga is a way to see that there is no chaos. Everything is happening as it should happen. You are the one creating the chaos. The chaos is inside your head.
Okay.
And the moment you look inside your head and see that your fictitious expectations of what life should be, how things should happen, they are not happening your way, so it is chaotic. The moment you realize inside your head that your expectations don't matter, reality is happening in front of you, then the chaos goes away.
So the chaos is caused by my expectations.
By your expectations of things. You want them to happen a certain way and they are not. So it's chaotic.
But you said yoga was the exact opposite.
Yes, because you're saying to control. So yoga is to see that what is happening is happening.
So yoga has nothing to do with controlling your mind or anything like that.
Controlling your mind.
Or control is the word.
If your mind sees what's happening as what is happening, then it has a certain acceptance to it.
Okay.
It will take action, what is required, that are required, but controlling the mind seems as if you want to convince it that the chaos is okay. No, the chaos. There's no chaos. You want to observe your mind that the chaos that's inside there is not real. So there's no controlling. The moment you realize the chaos is not real, it goes away.
How easy is that to do? That didn't say how hard.
It just takes observation, investigation. So when you have a tendency, all these practices that you do, that you're reflecting inwards, you're investigating the mind, you're investigating, the functions of your body. The more you look at them, the more awareness you have of them. And so the more tendency you have to take notes of what's happening with them. If you are always looking outside, then you're less likely to feel what's happening inside. So most of the investigation is to make yourself more familiar with what's happening inside, so you can be aware of them. Okay. And so they can't really go and start making decisions on their own without your, involvement.
So, is there anything else that you wanted to add in terms of what is yoga?
So I would say primarily it is the investigative process,
Okay.
you know, and
And can anybody do this?
we are doing it every day.
We're-
Everything is in, you know, we may not go as deep, but we everything you look on, you form some kind of relationship, right?
Correct.
And that's principally it. The problem for most people is that they just look at the surface. They don't look and see, oh, this is love, what exactly is, and they're not looking and see how this affects me. What is grief? What exactly is grief?
So yeah, because we kind of take the
Definition.
definition.
And if you take the definition for it, you really never know, because for if for a mother, for example, before you were a mother, you would hear, oh, this is what a mother is, and you never really know. This is just when you become a mother, then it's completely different. The issues arise when you have formed an idea of what a mother should do, and then you start to act on those instinctive, not your instinctive behavior, but the definition of what society says a mother should be. And that's where things start to go off rails, because you instinctively know what a mother should be, but still you take the belief system and you do these other things. So, but you never truly really know what a mother is until you are a mother. You can believe all of these
So
things.
how yoga would help someone understand themselves? What would be like the approach? Or if somebody's looking to say, you know what, I am interested in yoga, I want to understand, I want to investigate, what are some of the first things that you think an individual should do to get on the process of start self-investigating?
So I would say, first, try to inspect your opinion of things from an internal perspective. Things you look at, things you do, words you use, try to see what they really mean from a personal experience, internally.
Mm-hmm.
As I explained with what beauty is, I mean, it might mean something else for everyone. What is this word? What is it we're calling this word? You know, what is this word? What is life? You know, what is time? These are, they seem very simple. They seem very, very simple. But once you start to investigate these things from your experience of them, because someone can say time all they want, it is an idea. As long as you're saying this word time, it is just a concept. From your experience of what is happening, what is it?
Not from the guy on TikTok.
No. Yeah. From the life within you. It is experiencing time. You are life. What is life? What is it I'm experiencing? How is it? What is this world I'm experiencing? From your perspective, what is it? And so you can start there, I would say.
Okay.
And then when you start there, what's behind that? What's behind that? What's behind that? And each step you take behind that, you start to see something else internally.
But yoga does have, to me, it seems to have that part where you're thinking or investigating, but then also the physical part that we see. Every studio, every yoga studio on the corner. How does that play? And can you do one without the other, or should you do one without the other?
So the physical practices that you see, they are, by traditional standards, they are not, most of the practice is not happening in the physicality what you're seeing. It's an internal process. So while you're actually doing these asanas, while you're doing the practices,
And asanas are,
the poses.
the poses are called asanas.
Yes.
Okay.
So while you're doing these, your mind should be internally. Your focus should still be internal.
Okay.
So everything is internal. You're feeling what's inside of you. So even those, in the practice of yoga, those are still an internal process.
Okay.
So it's everything about it is an internal process. your experience of it, the things that are happening internally, and the energy flow, the emotional flow, all of that, the thoughts that are coming there. You are observing everything internally. So while you're doing these, there's your attention should be never outside.
Okay. So an individual who's looking to experience, first thing, so step number one is to some internal investigation, asking some questions.
Correct.
You know, like what is time? Who am
Not
I?
necessarily those, but
Yeah,
things
who am
that
I
come
here?
to you.
Yeah. You know, what is this?
Yes.
And number two.
So I would say find a trusted source. Someone, somewhere, you, depending on what it is you're trying to achieve, of course.
Yeah.
And then go to that source and seek, you can test them. You can get some of the information that the resources that they have. See if what they're saying is along the path that you want to take, because everyone will take a certain specific path. One path is not for everyone, and as you can see, life is enormous. The existence is enormous, and the ways of investigating will be as much. So your approach of investigation may take you on one path, and another person's investigation may take them on a separate path. Depending on the way you're investigating, the path, the teacher you choose, might be different.
Okay. As a trusted source, and is there a third?
No, I think other than
Starting.
correct, because I would say you don't want too much information.
Because it does confuse you, because you do get overwhelmed and probably not do anything. Like,
Yeah, and not only that too, but for example, I really didn't know much about spirituality and yoga and stuff like that for most of the time, because I really didn't want to read anything about it. I really didn't want to read anything about meditation, spirituality, these things. For the mere fact that I wanted to ensure that my experiences were real. So what would happen is, whenever I had certain experiences, then I would try to find out what that is. And the reason for that is that your mind will create things for you. Now, if I don't have it, if I'm blank and I have no information of something, and I go into this experience and I know it's real for 100%. Now, if I started to create that, I went up to this place and I see people with wings and they look like angels and God was sitting on, a chair, then I can't really tell if it's real. Because I could be easily influenced. I could be dreaming.
okay.
But if I have an experience, and this experience is something I've never heard of, and then I investigate into it, and then when I look, I see all these sages speaking of this, then I know I really had an experience.
Yeah.
Because I didn't get data on this before.
What do you say to people who don't necessarily want to go that deep? They created a reality for themselves. It seems fine. It's not as stressful, but there's this little part of them that knows there's a greater power. There's probably energy. There's something in the universe, something out there that you want to get connected to. What do you say to an individual like that? Like, I want to be healthy. I want to acknowledge source, but I'm okay with the reality that I created.
I don't understand the question.
No, in terms of they understand, they want to get closer to a higher power.
Yes.
But don't necessarily want to go through the any extra. Like I don't want to learn too much about getting deep and understanding the world we live in. I just want to understand that there is some higher power and there's nothing more to it.
So they want to worship.
They probably, that's what it is.
Okay. So what exactly is God then? You have to ask this question, what is God?
Okay, so there's always some investigation.
There's always an investigation.
going
So
on.
if you ask what is God, there you have to, or if you don't investigate, then you're going to just take someone's word for it.
And then always try to even, I see where people will hear that, oh, I'm going to that church because I hear that the pastor down there is good. He's giving all kind of, people coming out, healed and saved. And it's just they going for
So if you don't want to think,
change for something.
if you don't want to think for yourself, if you don't want to know what was there before the information of this world came into your head, because just understand, all of this that you think you know at this moment, there are information that you have gathered by these five senses, information that society have given to you, right? If you don't want to know what is there before that, so you can have a great deal of independence in your thought, then yoga is not for you. If you want someone to tell you how to think, yoga is not for you. It is a way, yoga is a way to free yourself from the information that has been given to you as real and you don't know. Some of it might be true, but you don't know, you're accepting it. You want to know if this is real. You want to be an independent source of this information. And the only way to do that is to know what was present before all of this information was there. All of the information that would have been fed upon us since birth, you want to know what was present before that.
Okay, I like that. No, absolutely. I think it makes sense. Sometimes, we do assume other people know it. We just assume that's how it is, this is the way it's going to be, this is how you should be, this is what society expects, and we follow through. It's
Correct.
Easier. We're going to,
Yes.
And so investigating.
So if you want easy, yoga is not
It's
easy.
not
No, yoga is not easy.
Yeah, that's not easy either. Awesome. Thank you. Is there anything else before we wrap up? Is there anything else you think as it relates to yoga that an individual should want to know?
As you know, I practice yoga asanas and meditation practices with Isha. So for me, Isha is a trusted source, and so the app actually has a lot of meditation and free yoga meditation.
And we're not sponsored by Isha or anything like that.
So so if someone actually wants to have a starting point, which is what you ask, they could always use that. It's a free resource. You could go there, you could
So
get
this is the
meditation.
Sadhguru app.
Sadhguru app, correct.
Yeah.
And you can test it, and if you don't like that, there are other places that you could use. As I said, it
Test
is
the sources.
depending on where you're going.
Yeah. Test the
Correct.
source and see what they're bringing. Again, nobody should be telling you how to think.
No.
Yoga is a place, something where to help you free your mind from all the
From
stuff you've learned.
influences.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Awesome. I love that. I think yoga is so commercialized now. Like here we're seeing it, and then knowing that everybody's taking a little tips and bits and everything. If it's because yoga encompasses medicine and those things. So we think of chiropractic care as some parts of yoga, certain holistic healings and stuff like that. the sound, and it covers so much.
Because what happens is that when you start to investigate, when you really start to investigate, you feel everything inside.
Mm-hmm.
And I do mean like you start to feel tendons that you can feel inside your ear, you can feel the blood flowing, you can feel the different things. And so without having biological knowledge, you can feel what's happening inside of you.
Yeah.
And so the great sages, which were like way advanced, they would be able to feel what would happen when they eat certain things, what would happen when they do certain things. They could feel changes in the energy inside. And so a whole range of medical sciences and were developed around these things. Concepts of the creation of the world and everything. And so psychology, everything was created about an internal observation, because you can't really separate what's happening, and they come in layers. So first you're going to feel the body, then you're going to go deeper, then each layer you're going, it's going to be deeper. So you're feeling different aspects of the body as you go along. And as you can feel what's happening inside, you feel how things around you are relating with them.
And I think this is where it's different from just religion. Nobody's telling you how to feel.
No.
You're feeling that
Correct.
yourselves as you go into meditation,
Yes.
as you do the different asanas. You're feeling this yourself.
Yes.
So you're having an individual experience.
Correct. The great thing about this individual experience is that it is the same human experience for everyone.
Mm.
So that is how you know the difference between an illusion and a reality. It has to be one. If a million of us look out there at the blue sky, there is no guarantee that we are all seeing the same sky. We don't know what you're seeing as you look at the sky. You might be seeing a completely different color from me in terms of the shade of the
Not
blue.
even that too. Imagine when we both look up at the clouds. I'm like, oh, look at the elephant. And you're like, I don't see. I
No,
see a
but I'm talking
donkey.
about something more simple. Both of us could be looking at a blue sheet of paper, and really and truly, we're seeing a different shade of blue.
That too.
Our eyes are picking up some. You can't tell. I can't tell. A million of us looking at it might see a total different shade of blue, and none of us will know. We all accept it as we're seeing the same. So that's an illusion. That if a million of us can look at something and see something different, it can't be real. Because reality can't change like that, right?
Yeah.
So that is where it comes in, that we should see the unchanging, that which is unchangeable within us, and that is what is real.
Oh, okay, awesome. Okay, we're gonna end it right there. I think this was an awesome episode, and I hope you learned a lot. I hope this was enlightening, and you'll look forward to our next episode, because we're gonna really dive deep within the mind and thoughts, and just really investigating ourselves, and I guess the illusion that we have created. I don't know, it's like the world illusion. But I tell you, it's something to really, I know it's always on our minds, right? We're always talking about it, we're always discussing it, because it's important to us, and the fact that you're here listening tells me that it's important to you as well. So definitely join us. We will be here to guide you and help.
Looking forward to see you guys again, and thank you for joining us.
All right, take care. Bye.
All right, take care. Until next time.